back at the line as Top Fuel qualifying continues. Mike Strasburg and Terry McMillan were to go side by side, but when Strasburg saw that the field was set, he pulled out of line. McMillan, his rod was just so-so, and they will stay Strasburg 15th and McMillan 16th.
Next up, you got Steve Torrance and Dom Lagana. Dom Lagana smokes the tires right at the hit. Steve Torrance has some problems down track. Runs a 442 at 200 miles per hour.
Can you imagine what it feels like to have to take this car back to the pits knowing that it is not going to run until they race at Las Vegas? No race here in Phoenix for Spencer Massey. And who benefits? How about Antron Brown? Came here 52 points behind Spencer Massey, 62 points behind Spencer Massey, and now has a chance to make those and more up.
Next up, we got Sean Langdon and Corey McClenathan on the line. We've been seeing a lot of tire smoke in this session, but not this time. Both drivers get down the track nicely. 405 for Corey and a 409 for Sean Langdon.
Up next, Vandergrift and Grubnick.
Well, David Grubnick goes up in smoke, but Bob Vandergrift takes it down the racetrack, a 408 at 279 miles per hour. We talk about the track conditions here. You go on board with David Grubnick, you're going to watch similar to what we saw with Sean Langdon, just way too much wheel speed early and drove right up into tire smoke.
So there is Bob Vandergrift, who, of course, got his win finally. What, 14 final rounds he has to go before he actually comes up with a win. What a great day for him. Let's go look at Langdon and his tire. Boy, look at that.
Look at the way it wads that rear tire up, and that's what it's supposed to do on the launch. It wads that up, and it actually helps spring the car forward and helps get it up on the tire. The problem we've seen here in Phoenix is it gets up on the tire too much, it drives up into tire smoke. If that tire stays wadded for too long, it would go into tire shake, which we have not seen very much of that here at Firebird Raceway. Great shot, though.
Yeah, it is the North American debut of the Antelope high motion camera. It's capable of shooting 5,800 frames a second. Now, a normal camera operates at 30 frames a second. Well, the door is now open for Antron Brown. He's coming up to qualify next. He could be number one when this weekend is over. Worsham could be there as well, but it's Antron on the line right now. And on the other side, it will be Doug Coletta. Brown is currently 6th. Coletta is at the bottom of the top half of the field at 8th, Dave.
Now, Paul, to suggest that this Top Fuel title has been an extreme ride, it would be an understatement. Everybody was ready to give this thing to Dell as the countdown started. But then here comes Antron Brown, the man on the line right now, who's got all the momentum. Went 3 in a row. Then here comes Spencer Massey. Well, it reminds me of that broadcast song that we have here on our show. It's called Last Man Standing. That's what it could come down to.
Doug Coletta goes up in smoke. We look for a number from Antron Brown. There it is, 399. That is low of the session. Gary?
Well, one of the things we always enjoy is when we encounter firsts in any type of drag racing, and we've got our first here. For the first time, this father and son combination is qualified 1 and 2 in the Pro Stock motorcycle ranks. Let's start with Pop here. Hector, what's happened? You told me that you worked really hard this week since the last event, going through both of these power plants and tuning things up. Did you find any secrets?
You know, we just wanted to make sure that we don't hurt anything and just main routines. So I just freshen it up. I can't take a chance. My son is doing an awesome job, and I want him to succeed. I want him to go forward. So that was my plan.
As your success has grown, Junior, are you feeling any more pressure than you did, say, 6 weeks ago or so?
No, I feel better. I'm doing well, so there isn't the weight on my shoulders that I need to perform a lot better because I'm behind the 8 ball. I mean, I'm on top, so I feel good. The bike is consistent. I'm doing a good job. Our team is doing a good job. Cheers. I mean, we're just thank Lucas Oil and Worldwide Bearings and Moldstar, Autolite for helping us tune the bike, and just everybody.
Well, we enjoy being part of a first. Congratulations, guys.
Thank you.
Well, Del Worsham waits for his chance to try and move up. He is currently 3rd in qualifying. We are back at the Arizona Nationals, the NHRA Full Throttle Drag Racing Series. Del Worsham waits to qualify. They've got the motor fired. Remember that amazing event at Maple Grove and all of the records, and then that final run where Del Worsham had the quickest run in history and lost on a hole shot. What's that hole shot thing all about, Mike?
2 weeks ago in the Top Fuel final from Reading, Pennsylvania, we saw Del Worsham run the quickest run in drag racing history, only to lose to Spencer Massey. So that brings us to this week's anatomy of a hole shot win. Now, each lane is timed individually, and once the driver stage the car, the amber lights are activated, and it takes 0.4 of a second from that amber to the green light. Spencer Massey left about 0.05 of a second after that green light came on. The problem for Del, he was about 0.05 slower than that. Now, Del started to make up a little bit of time, although it was only thousandths of a second in the first 60 feet. But then after that Alan Nobby car really started to charge. By the 8th mile, he had picked up another 0.03 of a second, but he was still 200ths behind at that point because he was late off of the starting line. So when it was all said and done, when they got to the finish line, it was Spencer Massey getting the win by a margin of victory of just over 100th of a second, all because of that hole shot advantage off of the starting line.
It makes it pretty plain. You get the hole shot, and then you can celebrate just like Spencer Massey did last race at Maple Grove. So here is Del. You heard him earlier. He feels pretty good now. He's ready to get back in the saddle and make sure this thing works for him. He will go side by side with Troy Buff. Worsham is 3rd. Buff is 4th. This could be a career best start for Buff. Oh, they both go up in smoke. Wow, the heat is taking its toll here in Phoenix. The Full Throttle Drag Racing Series continues with our coverage of final eliminations on the air Sunday night at 7 o'clock. We're on the air at 7 o'clock for the rest of the season. These last 3 races in the countdown to the championship. Gary Gerald.
With Antron Brown. Antron, I know it's kind of a mixed bag of emotions. You want to encourage and be there for your teammate, but at the same time, you're striving to win a championship. And suddenly now, this has a whole new complexion. What do you think of this opportunity that's come so unexpectedly?
Well, you know, what we got to do, Gary, we just got to focus and do what we do. You can't worry about anybody else in it. I mean, our teammate, he went out, man, and we feel for Spencer and Todd and them, because them boys work hard. This track is just, I mean, you race a 100-degree track, the highest racetrack on the countdown race. You go from Killer and Reading, and you come here. So it's the highs of highs and lows of lows. But we just got to keep marching forward. But our car has been keeping all the cylinders lit, and we just got to do what we do, because trust me, them guys are going to be there right at the end for the championship. Don't count them out. They miscued this race, but Todd and the boys are going to come back harder than ever. And you know what? They got the same stuff we got. They got the good fire core wires from my boy Rick right there that gives us those wires, and they're staying lit. So we just got to keep them lit and get down this racetrack, because it's tricky tomorrow, and we're going to see what we do. We're going to try to get as many points as we can, because there's 5 cars, it's not 5, but 10 cars in this countdown, but 5 right now that are really close, and we got to keep marching. And if we don't, we're going to be looking on the outside in.
Keep an mind on the fact that if he can get to the semifinals tomorrow, he has the opportunity of getting back into the points lead.
Oh, yeah, I'm thinking the finals are going to be very, very good. Larry Dixon and Tony Schumacher. Think about these 2 great champions who have accounted for championships for the past several years. But this year, between the 2 of them, only 1 win, and it belongs to that guy, Larry Dixon.
Right now, Larry Dixon's your #1 qualifier. I got to believe it's going to stay that way, because the conditions don't warrant a run that would run anybody that would be able to run quicker than a 391. Your last 2 pairs down the racetrack. Tony Schumacher's had a very consistent race car, like his teammate Antron Brown. Been down the racetrack every time he stepped on the gas and made some pretty nice runs. Not this time.
Now it's going to only be Larry, and he runs a 4:01 at 293 miles an hour. Larry Dixon will stay #1. Schumacher is slow, but he will stay #2.
This is just a matter of trying to get down the racetrack. You saw Tony Schumacher, as I said, was very consistent all weekend. Whisked the tires and got out of it. Larry Dixon didn't make the run he wanted. Had a little bit of engine damage on the other end, but they'll have some good information for tomorrow's elimination.
Yeah, they've got all they need to know now when they go to final eliminations. Here is the Lucas Oil ladder, and on this side of the ladder, everybody in the countdown is going to catch a break.
And on the other side of the ladder, we have the all-important matchup with Antron Brown and countdown contender David Grubnick. Antron has a great race car going down that racetrack every session, as I mentioned.
And those who did not qualify, the big one is the points leader, Spencer Massey. He is not going to race on Sunday. Will this guy race? It's John Force. He hasn't yet qualified in funny car. He'll be coming up right after this.